And hello again, Internet. Again, let's see if I can actually hold my connection this time. Because, of course, one of those times where as soon as I start streaming, boom, lose the connection to Twitch entirely. I hate it when that happens. But at any rate, it looks like it's holding right now, and I'm doing something a little bit different today. Instead of doing just the Capcom stuff, because it's the end of my week and I don't want to have, start the thing and then have a gap of a few days, I'm going to go ahead and do a roundup of some of the individual arcade titles that I have on Steam. Now, this is by no means an inclusive library of what arcade games are available on Steam. These are just some of the ones that I have, and we're going to start with the arcade game series with Namco Bandai here. Now, these are, we've seen Namco already on this with the arcade stuff, with their Pac-Man, the Pac-Man Museum. And, of course, they've got the new Pac-Man Museum, which I don't have yet, which I don't think have any new arcade games anyway, and in fact removes an arcade game. So, not really useful for these purposes of showing off arcade stuff. But they don't really have another collection, per se. They just released a handful of titles, these in particular, the arcade game series, of which there are only 4, and if you go to buy the bundle, you will only find 3. We'll get to that in a bit. But these are, I think, a little bit more feature complete, honestly, than a lot of the other arcade stuff. This is a setting I have to make it run through the ROM check at the beginning. You can turn that on and off. In fact, let's take a look at said settings. It's actually fairly impressive. The display settings here, you can adjust the screen size and location on the screen. You can have it be larger, or you can rotate it. You could, in theory, set this to, look at that. Look what you can do. Look at the kind of things you can do. Not just that either, but you can adjust where the thing is on the screen. And it just shrunk down when you do default. It goes in a little window. And then full screen it. The scanline adjustment is interesting in this. That was the wrong button, because that's a zoom. Seriously, the amount of details you can put on this, and this is more of a slider than just a setting, as you can see with the scan lines there as well. All the arcade ones have these. I think it's actually fairly impressive. I'm going to do it without scan lines, although I actually do like the way scan lines look on this. These games look a little too sharp without them. I know, it's weird. I never do the scan line stuff. I think it makes things look blurry, but it actually looks pretty decent on these. At any rate, that's not the only settings we have, though. We have almost what looks to be a fairly, well, I wouldn't say full set of dip switches, because I don't know what the dip switches on this are, but we can select what round to go to, how many starting lives we have, when the extra lives are, and that even changes how you get the extra lives. But the big one that I like here is the version info. You have new and old, and as you can see, with this one, there was a bug in the arcade version where if you defeated an enemy with a rock and a harpoon at the same time, it would break. That's actually kind of a common thing in video games. And I've lost my connection again. Oh, nope, there it was. Just a little bit of a hiccup this time. The internet is a terrible place. At any rate, it's a fairly common thing in video games, especially old video games, that if you try to do 2 things at once, they don't know what to do and bug out. It crashes a lot of games. Even more modern stuff can do this. Something to be wary of. But, like collecting 2 power-ups at the same time can crash a lot of games as well, because they don't know how to handle 2 simultaneous inputs. It knows how to do one or the other, but you hit both and they'll freak out. So this one actually has a version that fixes that. So if you do have that situation come up, it won't break the game. And of course, we have the self-test screen. You can reset the high scores as if you cycled the power on the game. So I think, like, as an emulation presentation, these are solid in the settings side. But I've not actually played one of them, so let's go ahead and see how they play on the emulation side. Now, again, these are games that we've seen the NES ports of through the Namco Arcade Museum that way, which was neither arcade nor a museum. It was just a collection of NES ROMs and didn't have any bonus features whatsoever, which I don't know if this one does. It's got the how to play, so this is good to have. So we have some information on what you're supposed to do. These are already more impressive than a lot of the other sets we've seen. And even though these are done individually, if you like the game, that's another thing too. You can buy the game individually, so you don't have to buy a collection. So if you just want one game, you can just get that one game. That's pretty solid as well. So let's go ahead and play. Now, I am not really a fan of Dig Dug. If you remember, I mentioned that I had this on the Atari, and I pretty much finished it there. I was done. There wasn't much left to do. So, or any reason to really continue play. I played the hell out of it. And we're out. Round 1 clear achievement. I do think it's an interesting game how the music only goes while you're moving. No, come up here. Where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going? Surface Assassin! Round 2 cleared. I wonder how many achievements we have for clearing rounds. Ah! Sniped me. Ah! Yeah, so this is not the most complicated game in the world. You'll notice that every level we get a new flower up there. Dragons really are the more dangerous one because of the fire breath, but they only matter if they're left or right to you. And you can do things like that and trap them. Ah, and we got a new color palette finally. And of course you get more score if you hit him with rocks. You know, missed, but... Yeah, come on, come get me. Not the most complicated game, but again, this is from the era where arcade games were just meant to be... Oh god, there's 2 of them there. Oh! What a trap! That was sneaky. Then again, you can just turn around and do that to him as well. So we'll see how long I last in this. But yeah, this is from an era where arcade games were designed that you put a quarter in and kill a little bit of time. Kill a few minutes. And if you like these games, they're fairly cheap. They go on sale now and then. Look at that. Go for the world record now! As far as I know, the world record is this. Because this is what my score is. Ah, there we go. There's my... I can put my name in. There we go. Yeah, so that wasn't too bad. And then it just saved the scores. Listen, these are going to be fairly quick because there's not a lot to talk about with these particular games. But at least it is the actual arcade versions. And with having the NES stuff, you can kind of compare how accurate the NES was. And That is something you can't do in the game, is drop like large chunks of the map. I don't know. I don't know what to say about Dig Dug. The mechanics of it are very simple. It actually is a surprisingly good arcade game for the era. The mechanics are very simple, but that's what you need for these solid games. And you can see you got tricks like that where he partly inflated them and ran past in order to line them up to boom, drop the rocks on them. So you could do more than I was doing of just trying to quickly complete the thing. You know, it's a game that is, and again, you take enough time, you get power ups like that. It's a game that is simple to learn, difficult to master, which is exactly what arcade games of that era should have been. I don't know if Dig Dug is considered really a classic today, but it is still fairly well remembered because as far as early arcade games goes, yeah, this one was pretty solid. Just isn't my thing because I've played a lot of Dig Dug because it was one of the few games I had, and I am tired of it. At any rate, we do have other games to check out. So let's see what the second one on the list is. The second one is actually a pretty good one. The problem with this is I have to actually switch the showcase, or to the showcase, the Twitch thing as well for which game I'm doing. There we go. And then, see, it starts with the classic music for each of the games as well. And this one is, of course, a classic. It's one that, honestly, I would probably still put a quarter in if I saw a machine around. Space Invaders was a very influential game. It was one of the games that sold a ton, was pretty easy, and everyone tried making their own version of it. And Galaga here was probably about the most successful of them, in my opinion. And again, I set it up to do that. We will go through and see what the exact options are. You can turn off the ROM check. In fact, by default, it is off. One thing I have to complain about with these is I don't like how the side stuff is so muted in colors. The border is just, oops, that's not what I wanted yet. So, like, this is a nice, bright, vibrant green, but when you get into the actual game, okay, so back, return to top menu. Yes, I did not want to hit start. Okay, so settings. The display settings are the same. You got the select rounds. You can choose what round you go in, which is nice if you want to do something like that and see what other areas, how many starting lives, what the score for them is, default settings. And again, we have the version where you can play the old version or the new version. I don't know what the exact glitch they're fixing here is because all it says is enemies become unable to fire under certain conditions. But there apparently was a glitch in the original arcade version, which has been fixed or allows you to fix it. And that's something I also appreciate, that you can either run the fixed version or play it straight. And it might not even be a fixed patched ROM. It might be something where the emulator intercepts the instructions and fixes it while you play, which would probably be the best way to do it. That way the ROMs are still intact. Because you can extract the ROMs from these and use them in other emulators, but honestly, I don't see a reason to with this. Well, I mean, there are reasons. Like, if you want to use a RetroPie to do a arcade cabinet type thing, this would give you a legal version of the ROM, which is one of the reasons why I support buying these. And they're not expensive. It's another thing, too, is these are actually very reasonably priced. In fact, I have spent more buying this ROM than I have spent putting quarters into the machines. By a lot. So, let's go ahead Take a round of this one as well. See how it compares again. I mean, this is the original version, so it's not so much that you are... Oh, good, you can turn that off. So it's not so much that I am comparing how this is to the NES version. I'd be able to compare how the NES version is accurate to this. Love that Starfield back there. No, stay away. I am, of course, trying to get my ship captured. There we go. Oh no, I just lost a life! No, I didn't. I mean, kinda do, but... No! Well, shit. And I got an achievement for blowing up my own ship. You're not gonna come capture me anymore, are you? Because you're the last guy. Yeah, well. Oops! I done fucked up. But yeah, this one was another very successful game for Namco. I think this might be one of the ones that kind of helped put them on the map. You know, Pac-Man, yeah, Pac-Man was great as well, but they had hits beyond it. Just Pac-Man turned out to be the juggernaut that was completely unstoppable in arcades. Yep, not getting it that time. I'm not doing very well at all. I'm terrible at shmups, so... Yep, I am terrible. I do wish they would do more of these, because they only, like I said, ever released the 4, and that was it. And Namco has so many arcade games. I mean, hell, we've seen a lot of their arcade games when we did the NES sets. Not that I would really want an arcade game of Mappy, but it could be one that's available. I think the ones they chose, though, are pretty... Scorpion. Ooh. Achievement for that. Okay, let's see if I can actually get the second ship this time, instead of destroying it. Come to me! There we go. This was the thing that really set this game apart. That... Good job, meme. That is true. They're doing, like, they're the ones doing the Tekken games, which are still in arcades, correct? I love this, too, at the end. Gives me an actual, how well did you do? It was impressive. I got both of them blown up at once as I looked over to read. And Gundam arcade games. Yeah, so, like, there's a rich history here of arcade stuff, and I'm glad these exist. I recommend these arcade game series games because, number one, they are good games. They've picked some of the better Namco titles of the old. I love Galaga. I really do. I just haven't played, really never actually played this after I bought it, but I was so thrilled to get it because it's such a fun game. As far as the old shmups go, this is one of my favorites. And the emulation here, like I say, it's really good. You got a lot of good settings. It's got dip switch settings. The visual settings are good. The fact that it has the bug fix is nice also. All right. time to move on to the next one. Yeah, I'm kind of going through these quickly today, just giving them a single playthrough, because that's kind of all it is. I do too! I wish a lot of the companies would. I mean, we're never going to see the Midco once again, because Warner Brothers bought Midway, pardon me. Warner Brothers bought Midway Williams, so those games are gone, which is a shame because they released several classics back on like the PlayStation 2 era, which I had 2 of the 3 sets. I only have 1 of them anymore because 1 got stolen. And I wish that one didn't, because that was a good one. It had like the Mortal Kombat on it and everything. Those were fun, and I would love to get them again. There's so many classics that are just gone anymore if you want to get them legally. Which means these companies are just sitting on money. Anyway, next game. The next game is... Well, that didn't work. Next game is one we've seen. I mean, let's be honest here. You all knew this one was coming. The third of the 3 that are available in the pack. Classic tune there. And yes, just nice, basic, the game that put Namco on the map. Pac-Man. And again, I don't like how muted the cabinet here is. So, again, we're going to take a look at the settings. The game settings, we have the same stuff. You can choose what round you are on. You can do the starting lives, how many you have, how often you get extra lives, and you can turn the 256 bug off. Now, this one is one that I might do a little bit extra. In fact, I think I will. But I love the fact that you can actually turn this off so the 256 bug doesn't happen and just continues letting you play the game forever. So, and again, it has the how to play, which I should have done for the previous game. I didn't do this. But then again, I kind of know how to play Galaga. Although I should actually double check it, and that's just the controls. So, let's kick it off. So is this going to be any better than the arcade version in the Pac-Man Museum? I already think it's got a bigger screen. And you can adjust the screen size as well. And I think you have more control over the settings in it. Oopsie. So, yeah. I mean, even if you have the museum, maybe this is a version to think about. Although if you just want Pac-Man and don't care about the other, well, let's be honest, rather crappy games that are in the other sets, because, oh god, a lot of them are junk, you can just pick this up and be happy. As one level, which I would not be able to survive a lot of those encounters later on because the ghosts get faster. As I've said before, I'm not the biggest fan of Pac-Man. I do see why it is successful, and I do love the amount of work that went into these games. Because the various AI in this is really proof that the people at Namco weren't lazy. They weren't just trying to quickly rush anything out, get product for product's sake. No, they were making the best games they could, and it showed. With their success, it definitely showed. That's why they became one of the powerhouses of the arcades in the 80s. And then the cutscenes, because of course. And that music. Gotta love the music. I am not great at Pac-Man. Hey, I got a 1-up. I'm good enough to get a 1-up at least. Oh, they got me trapped. They got me trapped. I was trying to get out of that corner and I just couldn't. Yeah, I do also wish Sega would release more arcade games. An arcade game set would be amazing. I mean, they have some arcade games in the Sonic Ultimate Collection back on the PlayStation 3 era, but the new ones don't. The new Sega Collection is just Genesis. Not even Sega Master System games, just the Genesis ones. Now notice that they don't stay blue as long with the power pills anymore. Oops, that's not good. So the game does get harder the more you go. Oh great, you get achievements for hitting the fruit, which I have not yet done in most of these. That was the first fruit I did. Well, there we go. I'm gonna be no way out now. Just gotta be careful. Ah! They got me. Ah, well. One more stage down. Oh, I was hoping for a new cutscene there. Man, they really don't stay power build for long anymore. Yikes! Yikes! Ah! I was hoping I could get around that corner. Ah, well. So there's my Pac-Man, and there you see it saves the score. Shadow, Blinky, Speedy, Pinky, Bashful, Inky, Pokey, Clyde. And how many points you get. Again, solid game, solid emulation, like the options that it has, and it's a good price. This is not expensive for the full arcade game, and it's just this one, so you don't have to have a collection that includes things like Pac-Land, Pac-Mania, and Pac-Attack, and Pac-and-Pal, Super Pac-Man. Man, they really did suck. Trying to recapture lightning in a bottle just did not work for them. Except, Pac Champion Edition stuff's fun. So they've made a few versions of that now. Okay, so one thing I did actually... Whoops, no. One thing I did actually want to try here. Settings. Let's do this. Let's actually see the 256 bug. Game results will not be registered on the leaderboard since game settings have changed. You have to play it with the default settings. I like that as well. But if you want to be on the leaderboard... Oh, it only goes up to however high I've gone. So I can't just go straight to 256. That's actually cool also, because it does mean that I could just sit here and do that as my continues to go through the game. Now, I'm not sure why I would do that, personally, because the games are rather repetitive, even though I'm someone who, like, yeah, let's beat the arcade games. Yeah, I mean, that would work for it, and there's, save and quit, so you can take breaks, which, again, they're temporary saves. You can only be resumed once. It's actually really good stuff this has. No, not yet. Return to the top menu, change the settings back. No. Turn to the top menu, change the settings back. That's the only one that matters. These are the 3 that matter for it. Because you can change these 2 at a whim. Okay, so that's Pac-Man, again. And those are the 3 games that you would be able to get if you buy the 3-pack. But they did release a 4th. It is, once again, one that they kind of don't like referencing much, even though it is still every bit the classic. That took a while to load. What the hell, game? Yep, you can get Miss Pac-Man as well, which, if you buy the new museum collection, does not have Miss Pac-Man. So if you want to get it, this is the way to get it. Now, this one is not available on Humble Bundle, which is why the symbol there disappeared. But it is available on Steam, and it is still on sale on Steam. I've checked. You can still pick it up there. And you probably should, because this is another really good game as far as Pac-Man goes. In fact, I kind of like this one better than the original Pac-Man sometimes. Sometimes. Depends on my mood. Once again, we will check the settings. You have the same. You can select around how many lives you start with, how often you get extra things. And this one, instead of the 256 bug, it has a 142 bug. I'm not going to get to round 142. That takes hours, and I'm not going to sit here and do that. But I like the fact that you can do the select round and do that. And, of course, I do have the self-test screen turned on. I'm actually kind of curious to see the leaderboards on these. I wonder how many of these are hacked as well, to be entirely honest. And you'd think that there'd be more competition on the leaderboard, especially for close to max scores for these games. But, I guess not. No Billy Mitchell's here. Let's start this one off. Turn these display settings off now that I know you can. And then here we go. We got Blinky, Pinky, Inky, and Clyde. I still don't like how muted the side stuff is. I don't know why they desaturated the borders so freaking much. But I do love that this game started as a ROM hack. Because, people have been hacking ROMs literally since the 80s. That's why it was called a ROM hack. And some ROM hacks were rather good, actually. To the point where, hell, Capcom had to release more official versions of Street Fighter 2 because ROM hacks were taken away from some of their profits. Kind of. I'm not sure how the ROM hacks take away from their profits, considering that it's still that game. I guess they could be pirated versions, so that they wouldn't be purchased from Capcom if it was a hack. Because there's the infamous Street Fighter 2 Rainbow Edition, which was just completely over the top, had stuff like mid-air fireballs and all kinds of craziness. Ooh, you changed directions on me. I don't know you guys could do that. And that's kind of what led them to create the Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Because it also increased the speed, and they found out that, people liked having a faster option. There we go. Another level down. And more of the CGI stuff here. So I'm thinking that because this was third party and licensed by rather than... I got an achievement for no warps. Nice. Licensed by instead of created by Namco. Because this was brought to Namco US. Oh, okay, good. Although I'm glad that they decided that, yeah, we should actually allow it. Ooh. Because having the new maps really helps. Multiple maps, the fruit bouncing in like this is also very cool rather than having it all be in the same static place. Ah, I knew I was going to get trapped in there. Rather than have it all be in the same static place, it gives a bit more dynamic. This is a better, technically, game than Pac-Man. It is a good follow-up. If you want a... Effectively, this is ancient DLC. Think about it that way. But if you liked Pac-Man, the original Pac-Man, and you wanted a bit of a follow-up to it that was more of the same, but enhanced, better, bigger, different, this was what you would get. And again, we're at the point where the power pills don't do that much. Let's get the stuff out of there before it's too late. Nope, nope. Yep, damn it. I am not good at these games. And you don't get to name your high score. You just get the high score here, unlike Dig Dug, where you got to put your initials in. And you got a nice screen when you got the high score. That was pretty cool. So those are the arcade game classics. I know I only spent about 40 minutes on them, but good emulation, good prices. They're only a few bucks each, really, especially if you can get them on sale, which they do go on sale from time to time. I don't know if this one will anymore, but this one is at least still available. That's going to be when I get Twitch payout so I get the controller. Yeah, I am planning on doing the fighting games, but only after I get the new controller, which will be with the Twitch payouts. Because I want to get an 8-bit dough arcade stick. Because, yeah, that thing's awesome. But yes, definitely. Oh yeah, Third Strike's on the list. And when I do the fighting games, I will spend more time on them. I have plans for them. I have a lot of fighting games to play. And I want to sit down and actually give them a full play that I've never been able to do for most of them. The thing this channel was meant for. Hey, I've never done this. Why don't I do it? I think Wong has. Justin Wong, if you check his channel. Yep, Justin Wong's done that. I've seen that. I know what that's like. I will never be able to beat that. At any rate, yeah, that's what they've done for the arcade game series, Namco Bandai, and I do wish they would do more, because these things are, again, solid emulation. Solid games, you have the settings. I kind of don't like how these have the muted borders, the muted colors on the borders. I wish that those were full brightness like you get when you go to the menus here. I mean, mind you, this is an eye-shattering yellow and pink, but it looks better than the dull, muted, like aged 30 years in the sun versions, which unfortunately you can't change here. Oh, I guess I can do the how to play for this one as well, which is the same as the other one, because it's still Pac-Man. And these are not expensive, so if you want to pick them up, and again, with this one in particular, it's not part of the 3-pack, but because the new Pac-Man Museum does not have Miss Pac-Man, and this is still available, makes this one even more valuable than the rest, in my opinion. And who knows if they're going to take it down at some point, too. So if you like Pac-Man, if you want Miss Pac-Man, you kind of might want to jump on it. Fortunately, it's not expensive. Fortunately, you should be able to afford it. Most people would be able to. So, Now, I'm going to stop the stream, but I do have one more game lined up. I figured I would do invest in Miss Pac-Man. Liquidate funds, invest in Miss Pac-Man. I do have one more game lined up. Only one, though. It's going to be the only one, last one for today's of the miscellaneous arcade. There are a ton of other arcade games. A lot of them are fighting games, so I'm not doing those because, again, waiting for the controller. So when I get the Twitch payout, I will do that. And there's a lot of Neo Geo games, which I don't have all of the individual ones that way. As far as big collections of games go, I think I have all of them. If I don't, and someone knows of one, please let me know. Because I love arcade game collections. I have the SNK collection, which we've seen already a while back. Both of the several Capcom collections, let's just put it that way. The fighting game collection, the Street Fighter collection, the arcade stadiums, Arcade Stadium 2, those two will be coming up. We've seen the what was the other one we saw? We saw one of the Pac-Man collections. I don't have the new one, and I don't really care that much because, again, I don't think it has anything arcade. And I cannot for the life of me remember the other one we did. Oh, the Konami. Duh. The Konami collection, which wasn't that good. And again, Konami has so many more games. They should put more up. At any rate, one more game to come take a look at. I will be back in a moment with it. Till then, take care, Internet. Enjoy the games you play.